they are more costly in stress and time to small business owners who aren't tech savvy than the cost of getting support with it.
Welcome to Fuzzled, from confusion to clarity in digital marketing. I'm Paul Culshaw, and I want to open your eyes to clear, simple digital marketing ideas that can help to grow your business. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by marketing jargon or unsure where to start, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll break down one topic in just 10 minutes, no fluff, no fuss, just clarity. Okay, let's get started. Hi, and welcome to Fuzzled, from confusion to clarity in digital marketing. And today I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by Roz Parry from Mindful Marketing and Design, a UK-based web designer and marketing strategist who helps solopreneurs and micro businesses get clear, confident, and visible online. She's known for cutting through the jargon, building websites that actually work, and supporting business owners who feel totally overwhelmed by tech. If you've ever delayed launching a website because it felt like too much hassle, or you've already got one but it's not quite doing anything for your business, then this episode is for you, my friend. So let's get to it. Let's see Roz in the big breakdown. Hi Roz, welcome to the podcast.
Hi Paul, happy to be here, thank you.
Great stuff. So today we're going to be talking about websites that work without the tech headache, which I'm sure will resonate with a lot of solopreneurs and small business owners. So why do you think websites feel so overwhelming for small business owners, especially those who are just starting out?
Well, for a lot of my clients, it's the tech headache that comes with it. Many small business owners try to build websites themselves to start with for budgeting purposes mainly, or because the big tech companies tell you how easy it is to do that with their services on all the adverts that are splashed everywhere. But yeah, it's mainly the technology side of things that gets people stuck, and then they end up with a website that is kind of half finished and they don't really know how to move that forward. So 9 times out of 10, that's happened with my clients, and we end up rebuilding for them.
I think it's that tech side, isn't it, that stops people going forwards and probably makes social media a little bit more accessible. But actually having a website as your own online headquarters, as it were, rather than relying on social media profiles, is definitely the way forward. So I can definitely see how you provide a lot of great advice and help people get unstuck by getting past the tech there. So let's strip it back then. What are the bare essentials that a good website should really have?
Honestly, there's 3 main things. It needs to explain what you do, which sounds obvious, but people do miss that. You need to be clear on who it's for and how someone can get in touch with you. They're the main points.
Do you think a website needs to be more than one page, or would a business owner be okay starting off with 1 or 2 pages?
Many of my clients at the moment are starting with a 1-page website, and this again is for budget purposes, but it's something that can be built upon. I think it's really important just to have that 1 page, that online presence, with a contact section or a contact page. So technically it would be 2 pages, but you can get enough information on a 1-page website so that your potential clients, your audience, can understand a bit more about what you do and how to get in touch with you. A bit like a Facebook page.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's your own Facebook page, isn't it? As such. So you're not directing people to Facebook or another social media platform to actually go to your site, your part of the internet, as it were. So if someone's already got a site live, how can they tell if it's actually working for them or not?
Good question. So if your website is working for you, people are doing the thing that you want them to do. So that's filling out a form, booking a service, or getting in touch with you to maybe find out more. It's not always about having hundreds of visits or like the likes on Facebook, things like that. You just need the right people to land on your site and feel like they've come to the right place to take the next step, the thing that they were looking for. So mainly it's the amount of contact you're getting through the website. And that can also be through external links to booking sites like Fresher and things like that, which is easier to monitor for people.
I imagine people could, well, you correct me if I'm wrong, could people see if the website's working for them if they see that they've got more email messages coming in, perhaps, because they've featured an email address on the website, or they've got a form on the website, or maybe you're featuring a phone number on the site and you see that you've got more calls since you put the website live?
Yeah, absolutely. So the amount of contact form submissions that you're getting through your emails, direct emails, phone calls, they're all things that can be monitored at a more technical level, but it's good to keep records of these contacts coming in, the times of the year where they come through, because sometimes there's an element where traffic gets lower and, your website's not broken. It's just not a time of the year that people are searching for that service, or even the time during the month as well. So keeping a record of the phone calls and the contact forms and the emails is also really useful.
Yeah, that's a great point. You're mentioning seasonality there. Parts of the year where you're a little bit quieter and other parts of the year where it's like a peak trading for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is about creating an easy Google sheet or an Excel sheet maybe, or maybe jot it down on some paper if you want to, in terms of how many calls you gained or how many form fills you gained on a specific month, and then tracking it going forward.
Yeah, definitely. It's a thing that a lot of people neglect, but I feel it's a really important tool. And it's important for me to see how my clients' websites are working for them as well in that sense. So I also keep records. And the larger companies, we do track phone calls and email submissions as well. But for a smaller business, just the contact form is enough.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good place to be if you can do that for a full year, first of all, because once you can get year on year information or data, to talk a bit dryly about it, you can see how the website is growing, because in May this year, you may have got more form fills or more business from the website than you did last May. You're comparing the same month, but year on year. So that data is really important. As you say, you've got to make a start with it. Start jotting down those numbers.
Yeah, definitely.
What's one thing that you wish every small business owner understood before they started building their website?
Well, that is a good question. The main thing would be that it isn't about looking fancy. It's about communicating clearly. A lot of people want all singing, all dancing. I like a special little video here and a bit of an animation there. And a lot of these things can actually slow your website down, which can limit your results in a Google search, which is a kind of a whole nother subject there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say keep it simple, focus on the design of a homepage first to make sure that the client is happy with the overall look and the way that we're going to move the website forward. But next comes the content and the important bits about who you are and what you do and how people can work with you. So the aesthetics and the fancy bits can come later on.
It's interesting, isn't it, how most people do tend to be interested more in the aesthetics in terms of how the website looks, rather than maybe getting business from it. Do you find that people come to you in terms of having that mindset? They're wanting an online brochure. They're not as aware actually the website can generate lots of traffic and leads for you.
Absolutely. I've had quite a few clients like that. And I always try and strip things back and be as techie as possible for them, but also trying to explain the purpose for the website. It's so important to have that clear messaging on there, and we can make it look pretty. We make it look, it will always be on brand. It will always reflect who you are as a business, but the content is the key, basically.
Very much so, yeah. And I can see how you help your clients more than just creating the website for them. You also educated them to a degree in terms of what the website should be doing for the business going forwards. Because a lot of people assume that a website is there to look pretty, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see that you go a step or two further and really look after your clients as well, because you want the website to really work for them. So you're offering advice that maybe they don't know about as yet. So you can then create that website for them, get them on board so the website does work for them long term.
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't work for them, then it doesn't work for me.
Sure.
I'm there. I'm there to help them. No one's going to come back if the website's not doing the job it should. So I build very good relationships with my clients. A lot of them have ended up being friends. It's just that transparency and helping them to be more understanding of the process and what the website's purpose actually is.
So talking about your clients then, can you share a real example of someone you've helped and the difference it made once their site was sorted out?
Yes, yeah. One that really sticks out for me was a local tradesperson. They'd had quite a basic website for a long time, maybe 18 months, 2 years, and they just couldn't understand why they weren't getting any inquiries. By the looks of it, they were getting traffic, so people were visiting the website. So we basically went in, we did a bit of an audit, we stripped it back, and what we found the main change that made a difference was changing the call to action button. So the website was asking people to click a button to say get a quote, and that can scare some people off. Some people are ready to get that quote straight away. Oh, yeah, click the button. Mm-hmm. But others think, well, I'm not ready for a quote. I actually just want to speak to someone. So we changed that wording to speak to our friendly team. And that small change made a massive difference. People started clicking that button and using the contact form. So they went from getting 2 or 3 inquiries a year, a year, to 2 or 3 a month. So it was a massive change for them. It doesn't sound like a lot, 2 or 3 a month, but they were quite a high value service that they were offering.
Sure.
So, you know,
so 2 or 3 a month extra, makes a lot of difference revenue-wise.
Yeah.
So thanks for all the expertise, Roz, that you've given us today with websites and getting the websites to actually work for you better, to work for your business. So if you are after a website, come to Roz, seek Roz out, Rosalind Parry, Mindful Marketing. I'm sure she will help you so much. And if you've already got a website, but it's not quite working for you, I'm sure Roz will also do an audit to see how she can fix what you've already got and optimize it going forwards. Great stuff, Roz. So are you ready for a quick round then of Buzzword Bingo?
That sounds very exciting. Yep. Give it a go.
Let's go. So this segment then is called Buzzword Bingo. This is where we look at all of the acronyms in marketing and we either call them out or we become super helpful and we help everyone listening who's also confused about the acronyms in terms of what it actually means. So which jargon, phrase or acronym have you got for us, Roz?
So I have chosen the CTA, which is the call to action, which I just mentioned in a previous answer. So that ties in well.
Tell us more about call to action. I mean, it sounds very important, a call to action. What does it actually mean for solopreneurs?
So put simply, a call to action, it means telling people what you want them to do next. So on a website, that might be book a call, send a message, download a freebie. It's a way of communicating and saying to the person who's visiting your website, you're here, but this is what you need to do to move a bit further along your journey and get the information that you need.
So it's important to have them to keep people on the website, so to visit the next page and take the next action, as it were, yeah?
Absolutely. So, and also the placement of them is extremely important as well, and not over cluttering. So not having too many call to actions in the same area, because you then cause confusion and people tend to then not take any action rather than make the choice.
Sure. Okay. So if you are a regular listener to the Fuzzle podcast, I believe we've talked about call to actions in the past, but more in terms of social media posts. So writing a social media post, maybe a Facebook post, and actually putting a call to action at the end in terms of asking a question or asking people to DM you or get in touch, download your freebie, etc. So this is what Roz is also talking about as well, but in terms of your website. So keeping people on your website and taking that next action. Is that right, Roz?
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of websites, or especially when people have been building the website themselves, they just kind of forget that bit. So they've given the information, but people don't know how to move forward. So if you don't give someone a next step, they'll probably just click away, go on to a different website. But a good call to action makes it really clear how to get in touch, to buy from you, or to find out more without having to scroll around and guessing where to click, that sort of thing.
Definitely,
So
yeah.
it's an instruction.
So get those buttons on the web pages in terms of inquire now or download the PDF, whatever the call to action is. It needs to be there, front and center. So now it's time for the part of the show called What Would Roz Do? If you were starting from scratch, Roz, you had no tech skills, no big budget, but you knew you needed a website, what would you do?
Well, this is really common with a lot of my clients. So this is the advice I give to them. I would start really simply and look where I could cut back a little bit of budget, free up a little bit of budget to work with a professional. It doesn't have to be as much as you might think it is. It might be cutting back on a few coffees a week, a takeaway once a month, something like that. And that sort of cost should be enough to get you in front of a professional who can support you to start building a website. What I would avoid is the DIY sites. So although, as I said previously, they are sold as being easy and just click a few buttons and off you go, they are more costly in stress and time to small business owners who aren't tech savvy than the cost of getting support with it. So that's what my advice would be. There probably will be a hidden bit of money somewhere that you're thinking, actually, I don't really use this app that I'm subscribing to, or, some sort of subscription. Free that money up and try and get started with a professional.
I think that's sound advice, because with anything in life, if you want something done well, you go to a specialist.
Yes, and the other thing is a lot of small businesses are service-based. Say that their service on average might be £50 or £60 for an hour's. If you're a holistic therapist, for example, £60 for an hour's therapy session. Having the website and having even just one person fill out a form when you've got a professional website, one person per month inquiring or booking a service, basically the website's then paid for itself if it's a monthly payment website, or even if you are paying up front, or 50% and then another 50% when the website's complete. Over 12 months, it will have paid for itself.
Yeah, which is so attractive. So it's looking at the return on investment of the website. So have a think about this in terms of what Roz is saying. When you're investing in a website, how many clients do you actually need to gain in order to pay for the website? And then once you get more clients through the website, you're making a much better return on investment. And a website should be around in your business for quite a number of years as well, until it needs a refresh. Great points, Roz. I love in terms of what you would do if you were starting out and you were looking to gain a website. I think I would be the same as well. If I was looking for a web designer, I would always want to work with someone like Roz, someone who speaks like a human and not a robot. So some web developers don't speak your language sometimes, but you can see how Roz is really supportive in terms of wanting to grow your business. I have to say, I've worked with a number of web developers and they don't speak like a human sometimes. They do speak like a robot. When I was working in corporate, it was like, "Hi, Rob, do you want a meal deal for lunch?" And he'd be like, "Affirmative." So you've got to know how to speak to clients. So working with somebody like yourself, Roz, you kind of get it. You can have an everyday discussion in terms of what your clients are looking for. Right, great stuff. Yeah. Let's move on then to the final segment of the show, which is marketing fails and holy moly moments. So we end every episode with a moment of reflection or a lesson learned. So it's either a marketing fail, just to show that we all fail sometimes in our marketing as business owners. So we should celebrate those and have a laugh about them sometimes. And we've also got holy moly moments as well. So sometimes these can be shocking moments in marketing or in your business, or it can be something that we celebrate because it truly is a holy moly moment that you've got such great results. So over to you, Roz. Tell us about your holy moly moment, which you touched upon earlier. It was about making small changes in terms of working on websites and just tweaking a few things. So over to you, Roz. Tell us about that scenario and what happened.
Yeah, thank you. I did touch upon it earlier, but it's because it is such a common issue, common mistake to make, and it's a bit of a light bulb moment when you get it right. So we were going back to the call to action again. So back to the client with the get a quote. He had a button on his website that said get a quote. People weren't clicking on that button. And I think it sounded a bit cold and salesy, basically. And it, it's quite a commitment to get a quote. People think they're going to then be bombarded with messages and whatnot. And sometimes get a quote works on a button. Sometimes that is exactly the stage that people are at and they're ready to do that. And that's why it's a bit of a holy moly moment, because it varies from company to company and website to website. So just altering that button text, that call to action text to say, speak to our friendly team. We also moved the button somewhere more visible, as it was at the bottom of the page where perhaps the previous designer thought, well, they've read everything they need to read now, and this is when they call to action. But we actually moved that button up to the top of the page, what we call above the fold.
Okay, and so it was another bit of Buzzword Bingo coming up next time.
Yeah. Yeah. So we moved it near the top of the page. People who wanted to speak to the friendly team, they started clicking on it. And the inquiries have just been increasing ever since. But it's not just that client that this has happened with. It happens with so many. And I think I said earlier that some who don't have a call to action at all, they just think, well, I'm giving people the information. Why aren't they contacting me? Because, we need to lead people to where you want them to be.
Definitely, yeah. That's quite an obvious one, isn't it? But sometimes it's not obvious to people in terms of expecting to have inquiries, but you've not actually got a call to action button. You're not actually pointing people towards an inquiry form. You're just assuming that the inquiries will come flooding in, but you need those small changes. So I like to think that your client there, when you made those small changes, actually looked at the website results and said, holy moly. And it was a holy moly moment for them. So thanks for sharing that moment with us, Roz. And thank you for joining us today. So before we go, if someone's listening and knows their website needs work, what's the best way to get started with you, Roz?
Well, they can head over to my website, which is mindful-marketing.uk. And if they navigate over to the website section, there's a short form to complete where we can kind of get to learn a bit more about your business, what you're looking for in a website, and then selecting a package that will work for you, basically.
Thanks so much for that. And in terms of your website address there, you can find it in the show notes of this episode. Just give it a click through and you'll go straight through to Roz's website and see that offer there. So take it up, have a look at the offer there and work with Roz going forwards. So thanks so much, Roz, for joining us today. Perhaps you could come back another time as well and talk about some other elements of websites or maybe branding as well. I know you were involved in terms of brand design, so you're very welcome to come back. But that's it for today's episode of Fuzzled. Massive thanks again, everyone, to Roz for joining us today and for sharing her story and her website strategies. If this episode's given you something to think about, do pass it on or leave a review. And if you're feeling a little bit fuzzled about websites, get in touch with Roz. I'm sure she will provide a fantastic website for you so you're no longer fuzzled with the tech or your results on your website. You'll have something that works for you long term. Thanks for tuning in to Fuzzled, from confusion to clarity in digital marketing. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe and share. It really helps content creators like me reach more people. And if you're ready to take your business to the next level, check out my Digital Success Academy. It's packed with step-by-step video trainings, templates and tools to help you grow your business with confidence. You'll find all the details at paulculshaw.com. See you next time, and remember, clarity beats confusion every time.